So we just finished up brewing the chocolate stout. It was our first beer. We did an unboxing with all of our brand new equipment. So now we're on to beer number 2, but Golden Promise Citrus IPA coming up next.
Okay guys, before we get started, let's take a look at the recipe. Here in the center, you're going to see the Yakima Chief Warrior hops, which are going to be our bitterness hops. We're going to put those in as soon as the boil starts and leave them for 60 minutes. Then once we get down to 10 minutes left in the boil, take a look at the Hop Union Craft Brewing Specialist. This is going to be our aroma hops, and they've got tropical and stone fruit flavors. We're only going to put 1 ounce or 1 package of that with 10 minutes left in the boil. And then finally at breakout, once we cool everything down, we're going to throw the other 3 ounces of the same hops, adding those tropical and stone fruit flavors in before we pitch the yeast.
As always, we're sanitizing everything to make sure that everything is clean and free of bacteria. Let's get some water in the mash and boil and heat it up. Okay, so right now we're sitting at 73 degrees. We're heating up to 156, and we're gonna mash the grains between 152 and 154 degrees. So we'll give this some time to heat up. Guys, yesterday during filming, I accidentally factory reset my phone and lost the footage of the mashing and boiling part of the brew. So I'm gonna do my best to show you what that would have looked like had my phone not cut off. Okay guys, we're gonna pick up right where we left off yesterday. The boil's at 156 degrees, so we're gonna go ahead and put the grains into the mash basket. And we're gonna use our boil spoon to mix that up really well. All right, so from here, you've already mixed the grains in. I would recommend sparging a little bit of this water into a bucket, throwing it on top. That way the temperature is more evenly regulated. Now that the mash is done, we're gonna go ahead and lift this up and allow the grains to drain before we boil the wort for another 60 minutes with our hop additions. And now we're gonna add in our Yakima Chief bitterness hops in 60 minutes. All right, now we've got 10 minutes left in the boil, so we're gonna add in these Craft Brewing Specialist aroma hops. 10 minutes left to go, add them in. Okay guys, we're getting to breakout. I've turned off the machine. This is cooling down. We're gonna get this cooled down, and we're gonna add in our 3 ounces of aroma hops that are left. We've mashed it for 60 minutes, we've boiled it for 60 minutes, we've added our hops. It is time to cool this thing down. All right guys, so we are currently cooling it down with the jaded cooling system. Once we get to about 70 degrees, we're gonna go ahead and pitch the yeast. And now we're gonna drain this into our fermenter and take an original gravity. We have cooled this thing down to about 75 degrees, and we're gonna put it in our carboy and pitch the yeast. Let's open the floodgates. Okay guys, now that we have the wort put into the carboy, we're gonna add this Omega yeast. Omega yeast, which is great because it's a tropical IPA. It's the yeast slurry, that citrus IPA. And it's gonna be fermenting at a temperature between 70 and 85 degrees. Now we've let this sit at room temperature for a couple of hours now, so it should be perfectly ready to go. All right. So we just added the yeast in. I'm gonna go ahead and put the top of the carboy on, nice and tight. Go ahead and screw in that airlock, and we're gonna add some water to it and top that off to the line. Put it inside, and in a couple of days we'll have some beer.
So just 1 day into fermentation, take a look at the yeast activating with the sugars already. Should be ready to bottle in about 5 days.
Okay guys, we're back 13 days later. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the wort looks after adding the yeast. Okay guys, so we took the original gravity, which was 1.046, and our final gravity 13 days later is 1.000. So that gives us an alcohol percentage of 6% for this citrus IPA. We're gonna go ahead and bottle it. We did take the final gravity 2 days in a row, and it has not moved within 24 hours. So now is the time to go ahead and bottle. Super, super important. Even though these are brand new bottles, we're gonna go ahead and add them in here with our Star San and shake them up and make sure we sanitize that because we don't want any bacteria going in when we bottle. You guys thought that was gonna take a long time, but it's already done.
we've sanitized the bottles, but we need to sanitize our tools. Make sure these things are really clean. You just don't want any bacteria in the beer. And the easiest way I've found to sanitize the bottling bucket is actually just to turn it on and allow all that sanitizer to go into another bucket, which is going to really flush out the nozzle. Okay, so here's the process. We're going to take the siphon tube, put it in the jug of wort, and siphon it into our bottling bucket. Okay, so we've got it set up here now. I'm going to stick it down the wort and get it going, and hopefully it'll go on its own. Maybe you could put into the comments section for me and let me know what would be an easier way to do this, because this is the second brew that we've done together now, and this is the hardest part of each one, is trying to get this wort into this bottling bucket. We are getting it full. We've only got a little bit of wort left. We're getting one step closer to bottling. All we've got left is some sediment in the fermenting tank, so we're going to take this and get to bottling. Got all the wort in there, connected our bottling tube. When this black tip hits the bottom of the bottle, it's going to release all the wort into the glass. And here we go. Pulled it out just in time. And you're going to want to fill these until the liquid comes to the top. Once you pull the bottling wand out, it gives it just enough space in there, you can see, to go ahead and put that carbonation tablet. Brewer's Best carbonation drops, just your standard 9-ounce Brewer's Best carbonation. Just drop it in there. So now that the carbonation tablet's in there, gonna go ahead and put the cap on, take our capper, set it firmly on top, and give it a squeeze, and it's done. And there's the finished product. So we're gonna let that bottle condition for probably about 7 days before we crack our first one, maybe 10 days depending, and that'll be coming right up for you guys. Okay guys, we're at the point of the video where I'm going to do the tasting. I've got the Golden Promise Citrus IPA right here. It's 6%. Got my tall glass. Let's open it up. Nice smooth color. Wow, look at the head on that. That thing is foamy. Full disclosure, this has now been about a month of bottle conditioning. So I did give it a try after about 10 days, and honestly it was bitter. I went on the Homebrew Network there, Facebook, Homebrew Network, 53,000 members, and so much great advice there. They said let it condition for a little bit longer, so here we are. We're going to give this a try, and look at the bubbles on that coming up. So here we go. So it's kind of got like a malty smell to it. Not very citrusy. Wow, okay. After about 10 days of bottle conditioning, it was unbearable. I couldn't get it down. I am not one to pour out a beer, but I took 2-3 sips of it and it went down the drain. So this is so much better than it was after only 10 days. So let those beers condition, give them some time. The chocolate stout, I found one in the fridge after 2 months, and it was amazing compared to only after a month, which they were still fantastic. I think the takeaway is not to rush your beers, give them time, let them age, and they're gonna be much better. Let me know in the comments section which beers you guys wanna see next. Beer is better brewed at home.